Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2+1, with the only player to simultaneously qualify for the StarCraft 2 and 1 professional leagues. Always 2 steps ahead of the rest. The chess master in the red. It's TY. Up against the #1 ranked player in the world by Dark. The final boss. It's Dark. A best of 5. Brood War versus StarCraft 2. Terran versus Zerg. The first real professional show match we've seen here on SC Evo. And we're starting things off on New Fighting Spirit. A map that should ring a bell for many of you. Something I won't beg you to do here on YouTube, but I will beg you for likes and subscribes if you haven't made it there yet. And Jimmy, what are we at? One more than yesterday. 1,323 likes on this video, on this cast. And I'll cast another one. I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I would do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. I've been loving SC Evo. I've been playing it all the time, mostly poorly. And I don't even have the nostalgia. I didn't play Brood War until after getting into StarCraft 2. I was too busy being addicted to World of Warcraft and wasting away my childhood. Which, you know, for those of us not born in Korea was probably more likely. But despite that, both of these players will be switching between StarCraft 2 and 1. I'm not sure of the methodology. I'm not sure if we're just starting with Dark and SC2 and TY as the StarCraft 1 Terran. But I will say, though the mod has your Brood War units and all the spells and the tech trees, the units are adjusted. We are on the StarCraft 2 engine, obviously. You can tell by the pixels. Maybe go stand like 15 feet back and through a window or something, and you can simulate the Brood War experience. But so that it really does mean that StarCraft 2 players have an advantage over StarCraft 1. The knowledge of StarCraft 1 units is important, but I think that just kind of comes with Korean culture. So I'm sure Dark knows his way around Brood War Zerg. Maybe not as well as StarCraft 2, but Zerglings are Zerglings, as they say. Gonna be an armory first. The Vulture comes up. He dodges the shots with a Spore Crawler and the Queen, the land version. Politely yet firmly asks the Vulture to leave, and it does so. Meanwhile, Dark, Zergling speed, and a Roach Warren on the way. He hasn't yet really narrowed it down. It is a 4-player map, something we've pretty much, something that's gone extinct in StarCraft 2 for many reasons that we're not going to get into now. There's plenty of balance complaints we can get into before 4-player maps, believe me. But will he just do a... This would be such a Dark thing to do. Just a Roach Ravager all in. Looking at the Africa TV show match, StarCraft 1 versus 2, which was mostly best of ones, as we saw. Early all-ins, I think the StarCraft 2 races have a pretty distinct advantage in the early game. Brood War units are not really designed around individual units doing game-ending damage. I don't want to hear about the there will be no Reavers in this series. I'm 90% sure. I don't think they're allowed to switch to Protoss, but I'm not ruling it out. The Zerglings triggering Spider Mines on their way across the field, which Spider Mines all well and good for zoning out, but the Roaches are already in production. In fact, the Zerglings may very well draw the Spider Mines into, well, when you think about it, a Zergling is the same price as a Spider Mine. Vultures are 75 minerals. Well, 3 Spider Mines are 75 minerals, and you get this cool Vulture bike for free. At least that's my understanding of how Brood War Terran works, so. Siege tanks on the way. Siege mode nearly done, but the Roaches are on the way across the map already. The creep is halfway there. More Spider Mines burrowing, and he spots the Ravagers. Siege mode and +1 mech weapons almost complete. 3 siege tanks. But siege mode taking this much time. He doesn't have it done yet, and the Ravagers are nearly here. A bunch of Zerglings behind. In fact, unsiege tanks may be better to some extent. The Spider Mines are not getting enough done. And in fact, he spotted the Spider Mine and takes it out with the Corrosive Bile as it reburrowed them. Siege mode is now completed, but the Ravagers are already on the doorstep. 4 siege tanks but they're stacking on each other on the ramp. He's got to be very careful to target fire. Corrosive Bow doesn't get the double, but so far the Ravager count being thinned out. Siege tanks bash it into the Ravagers, but Corrosive Bow is still just as good. He's got an Overlord on the high ground that has not been taken out, so he still has high ground vision. And there is no reduction in damage or mischance or whatever it is in Brood War. The SCV's holding the line, and what does is he just dead? Well, finally a Spider-Mine gets a real hit, but, well, an unceremonious yet decisive conclusion here in game number 1, as Dark walks up and slaps him across the face with Ravagers and Zerglings, which means I think Dark now will be switching to the Brood War Zerg against StarCraft 2 Terran for TY. But I want to take a moment before I wasn't quite ready for the game to just end on what is probably the biggest map we're going to be playing on, but here we are. I want to thank Kiwian for putting on these matches. And by the way, if you have anyone you want to see play, we can probably coerce Kiwian with good old-fashioned dollars or a shout-out to put together a show match, just like he did here for TY in Dark. So you can find Kiwian's channel in the description. You might also know him as Top from SC2, but and you've probably seen him stream, and we've done some matches before as well, but a lot of fun. And if you just hate my voice and you're desperately looking for more StarCraft 1 versus StarCraft 2 content, and you're just watching this on mute, well, I don't think anything I say at this point is going to matter, but you can find his channel where he has even more content going back several weeks, as that's pretty much been what the Korean viewers have been eating up over the last month or so. Which it got so popular so fast in Korea. They literally, I mean, they put together a show match with StarCraft 1 and 2. This has never happened. Like, even when the StarCraft 1 pros came to StarCraft 2 back in the MLG, like Wings of Liberty days, it wasn't, we're having like a mishmash of StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2. No, they switched over to StarCraft 2. There's only a handful of those players who are still playing StarCraft 2 to this day. I think the most notable of the StarCraft 1 players who's had success in StarCraft 2 is Hero. The Protoss was also an accomplished StarCraft 1 player as well. Though I think saying StarCraft 2 and 1 back-to-back like that so many times is really hurting my brain, so I'm just going to continue saying Brood War. Less syllables, and gets the point across. Maybe classic no. Vintage. Alright. Sure, it's a classic. Back in my day, we only had enough, we could count the pixels on the screen with 3 digits. It's like, okay, Grandpa. Go back to selecting 12 units at a time. Tell me how your wrists feel. I only played big game hunters. Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, so we are demonstrating here how StarCraft 1 Zerg, Brood War Zerg, does not really have an answer to the Reaper. The Zerglings, there's no queen gonna pop out and angrily throw some knitting needles away. So the Zerglings just will chase it down until Zergling speed is done. In fact, Dark has 200 gas right now. He's clearly kind of in an awkward situation. Zerglings with speed should eventually be able to get it. The grenade gets to the low ground, back to the high ground, and finally rips it apart. Wow, that's annoying. Double Evo chamber on the way. Just gonna go mass Zergling. TY going for a 2-1-1. It's an old build. Maybe not as old as StarCraft 1. Well, isn't that also kind of a StarCraft 1 Brood War build? 2 barracks into medics and fire bats. Except in this case, the medics are the medevacs, which is just, you know, even better. A lot of technology advanced after the Brood War. So, you're seeing those mules mine. Fun fact, the Brood War races do mine. Their workers, to my understanding, accelerate slightly faster than the StarCraft 2 counterparts. The result being each worker mines about 10% faster than their StarCraft 2 counterparts. And this is to balance out the fact that every StarCraft 2 race has a macro mechanic, or as I like to call it, chore. Whether it's dropping mules, chrono boosting probes, or injecting larvae, these StarCraft 2 races simply get more workers one way or another. So if they don't have something to kind of balance that out, then you just get more money in StarCraft 2. So there are other ways to do it, but so far it's about 10%. And what I like about it is how it encourages you to kind of transfer workers like Brood One. Because it seems to affect, because it's how quickly you come off the patch and return the minerals. If you transfer workers to a new base, they're actually more efficient. Whereas in StarCraft 2, workers are perfectly timed. If you have 8 or 16, they're all mining effectively the same amount. Okay, there's some little details with close patches, but let's not get too pedantic about it. Whereas the way they've handled it here in SC Evo kind of simulates that experience of wanting to transfer workers as soon as you expand, which is a habit that a lot of former Brood War players were in when they switched to StarCraft 2, despite the math really not backing it up. Well, speaking of math, 84 to 81 supply, a bunch of Marines, 2 medevacs, but so many Zerglings. They got +1 attack done, but despite their Zergling speed, there is literally no anti-air to deal with these medevacs. So TY actually drops out. And the Zerglings, well, that's not enough of them. So no Queens, no Hydras. Well, no StarCraft 2 Queens, no StarCraft 1 Hydras. And, well, Dark with just Zerglings is not going to have much of an answer. And here comes some Hellbats. So this is just the big boy grown-up version of the Firebat medic push. The Hellbats, those are 1/1 Langs. TY actually picks up. He abandoned some of the Hellbats, which means Dark will survive. He's got so many hatcheries. 1, 2, 3. Let's just... Okay, 6 hatcheries, 7. Another one on the way. He's working on a hive, the Queen's Nest. Don't let that infestation pit look fool you. Well, it's going to be scanned, right? He sees the hive on the way. That's the relevant part. So TY going to see no reason to stop the aggression here. No lurkers in production for Dark, as he's kind of skipped over and gone straight for hive tech, and I think he's going to be regretting it if these medevacs keep up. Those Zerglings are very cost-effective if they get to fight the Marines, but TY can just pick up and fly away. And so far, that's been the decisive tactic, as Dark keeps having to come back. He has 73 Lings on the field, and no way to kill these medevacs. Just mass Zergling. This isn't too far off his normal StarCraft 2 strategies, but without any way to easily kill those medevacs, the Zerglings are just going to take horrible traits, even with the upgrades. Well, that Hellbat roasting in the front while the Marines get murdered in the back. Key point here, though, is that TY doesn't even have his 3rd base landed, whereas Dark has his entire half of the map. So, though he is a bit supply blocked now, awkwardly, with the Overlord on the Pervert Pillar being taken down. The map is now Dark, and Dark's, but unfortunately also full of Terrans. Liberator. Oh, no. Oh, no. Does Dark have any anti... He has 113 Zerglings and 0 anti-air capability. The Liberator is just completely unchallenged. It's just... It's an absolute disaster. Dark is going to try to build spore colonies. Oh, no. There's just nothing. He has nothing at all. He doesn't even have a Hydra Den. Not even Queens can deal with them, despite the fact they fly. Like, he can't deal with a single Liberator. The Spore Colonies have more attack speed. I'm not sure if they have more range than their SC2 counterparts, but they can't re-burrow. Oh, no. Liberator's denying 2 key mining bases. Dark doesn't have that many workers. So, their Ultra's on the way. Not nearly as dangerous as their StarCraft 2 counterparts, though I think they're significantly cheaper. They only attack a single target. This is much more relevant when those targets are well spread out and you can isolate them, like in Brood War. Whereas here, well, for better or worse, and both are true, units have a tendency to stick together pretty well. Oh god. The Liberator, it didn't do... 13 drones are dead, the vast majority of which went down to the Liberators. But really, the interruption in mining and production is absolutely devastating. And there's no answer. You can't even come down his ramp. Liberator pin cushioning the Zerglings. Small counterattack, but what are you going to do against this many Marines? The Liberator chunking up the Ultras only takes 3 hits to kill it. And I think the lack of lurkers is absolutely game-changing here. Oh no, it's an absolute disaster for Dark. GG. Just rushed up straight to Hive, and TY immediately punished him for it. So the real winner so far, StarCraft 2. Between the early Ravagers and those later game, yet still incredibly effective Liberators, StarCraft 2 coming out strong. Though it does feel a bit of a technical knockout so far. But we're going to be trading places once again. I'd like to shout out to SC Evo itself. Jimmy, get the link in the description. So, if you don't know, you can actually donate to the mod creators. The custom, the map editor, and the custom models, and putting everything together. Yeah, that's, well, it might be free to use the map editor, but it takes a lot of time to put something like this together. And that's why, partially, I think, we haven't seen anything of this scale before, despite how obvious it seems now that people are interested. So, if you want to support it, you can find that link in the description. There should also be a link to the Discord as well, if you want to check it out. And remember, of course, you can play at any time. But theory crafting and balanced arguments in the comments are much more fun, in my opinion. So, have at it. Like and subscribe. We're on Daybreak. Welcome back. A map not quite as old as Brood War, but it kind of feels like it. As this was, I think, the first real staple map of StarCraft 2. This was the first map that stayed in the map pool once we figured out what maps look like. And they've looked like it kind of ever since. Even then, still not quite as cookie cutter as the maps we have now, but you've got your natural on the low ground that's kind of choked off, a third base that's relatively defensible, a fourth base option, either go for the risky center or a further out base. So you've got your more generic layout. And of course the nostalgia of like several thousand GSL games being played on it. In fact, speaking of Kiwian, I believe when he played in the GSL finals, and he did, it's been quite a while, against MVP, I remember it being such a highlight when he got nuked by MVP inside his own base on this map. I distinctly remember like battle cruisers and nukes, and Kiwian was on the receiving end of it, so I wonder how he feels about this particular map. Make sure to go check out that channel. Let him know if you remember. You didn't hear from me. Look up OGS Top versus I Am MVP Daybreak. Vultures in production. And Dark is back to the StarCraft 2 pieces. He's got a... He wouldn't do it again. He'd totally do it again. It's the most Dark thing. It worked. And now, if TY had siege mode in a timely manner, like if he had gone siege mode before Spider Mines, what it have done is... I don't think you can pull it off. But if you go siege mode before Spider Mines, you give up so much map control those Vultures are usually able to gain. I'm not sure how much these players are focusing on the StarCraft 1 versus StarCraft 2 aspect, and how much they're just kind of doing their own builds for this mod. But in my experience, and as a StarCraft 2 player, I've found a lot of success just substituting in units that I would use in StarCraft 2 with whatever the StarCraft 1 equivalent is. Like, vultures, well, those are Hellions. All right. Siege tanks, those are siege tanks. Spider mines, believe it or not, also siege tanks. They kind of fill a similar role. Widow mines feel very different than spider mines. Spider mines are oppressive, but once they're gone, they're gone. Whereas the widow mine, of course, is less devastating if you're unprepared, which is weird to say, but can continually be a threat. And of course, as an individual unit and not attached to the vulture bike. Now, too much campaign has got me I just keep saying vulture bikes. Up. The Queens, Dark really benefiting from having any units in the early game. Meanwhile, those 60 HP SCVs tanking pretty hard, but here come the Ravagers. Corrosive Bow, Vultures are able to dodge away, but they do mostly emotional damage to the Roaches. A Siege tank is out, but Siege mode nowhere to be seen. Even an unsiege tank gonna be very helpful. The Vultures into the main, a dropship was rushed out, now targeting down the drones. And if they coordinate their fire and there's no regen, they do two-shot drones, which means this mineral line is getting gutted right now. He gets into the dropship. The afterburner's not yet invented, so we'll just, at a stately pace, move away. Dark is actually supply blocked right now. I'm not sure where he lost an Overlord. Oh no, he's trying to right-click up to the high ground, and he was body blocked by the SCVs. And a Wraith is out, by the way. Like a much worse version of a Banshee. So, dropship on the way, but get off my creep! Brenda, are you okay? I waited 14 years for revenge! 14! Sorry, I did. Spider Mines and Cloak in production for the Wraiths. Now, StarCraft 2 Zerg and Detection have a difficult relationship. Unlike the Overlords in Brood War, you need an Overseer in order to get mobile detection in StarCraft 2. So, much harder to comfortably clear Spider Mine fields, to even chase down Wraiths, because of course the Wraiths can also shoot at the Overseer, so it does make things difficult. Spore Crawlers provide... You're like, yeah, but Spore Crawlers are mobile. I'm gonna be that guy, or girl, or AI commenter designed to rile me up. Wraiths. For when you need anti-ground damage and you literally can't build anything else. I think part of their value here is killing Overlords and Overseers. Clearly the anti-Overlord missiles, much more capable. But the Queens, Brenda, call everyone! I don't... Spider Mines and Siege Tanks, even unsiege. Siege mode has only just started. TY, I don't know if that's a mistake or he doesn't care too much about it. Honestly, unsiege tanks are just fine. And so far, oh, but the Spider Mines will trigger. The Queen's so far holding on. The drones had to be pulled. Dark's only at 45 drones right now. The unsiege tanks battling it out. More Spider Mines. Oh. The Queen's eating the hits. Almost all in the red. Autumn colors across the board. The unsiege tank still going. Another Spider Mine underneath. Does not discriminate. And helps take out that extra siege tank. And so far, TY driven back. He's got a third, and then fourth command center on the way. SCVs, I don't know if they're rallied out, or is he playing it off like they're not, but your Wraith's still plinking away at the Roaches. Overseer finally out. I remember when we could fly. Shh. Susan, just stop. Just stop. Remember when we could die to Reapers and Liberators? Remember that? Okay, times change. Sorry. More factories on the way. TY slapping down the third on location. engineering bay out at the front. Knows there's a threat of mutas. No Queen's Nest, infestation pit instead on the way. Some Goliaths in production now, just rounding out the composition. And swarm hosts and a Nidus. Sir Richard and his merry band of brethren. No longer the accidental choice that even the top players sometimes make, but instead, honestly, against spider mines and siege tanks, I'm not sure how TY... Wraiths very much are not Banshees, as we've seen. They cannot kill the Nidus nearly as quickly. So even having a few Wraiths isn't necessarily going to be the answer. But TY is taking another base. The Swarm Hosts actually seem like a great choice against this particular unit composition, because the main strength of the Brood War mech is a critical mass. When you get enough siege tanks, enough Goliaths, and ideally science vessels together, speaking of which, he's just now getting the science facility. When you get them all together, it becomes very difficult to deal with, especially with a radiate on those science vessels and the 2 supply siege tanks. The death ball is fearsome, but Dark is a master of rolling them the other direction. And the Swarm Hosts will unleash their first wave, headed towards the third. And the Spider Mines won't... Spider Mines not only won't be that helpful against this, they could be actively hurtful if they trigger too close to the SCVs. And in fact, the Locusts just kill them anyways. The Wraiths desperately tried to kill the Nidus. Need the SCVs to help out to kill it in time, and a Goliath as well. But the first Swarm Host wave has found success in forcing all the 69 workers apiece. Nice enough to perpetuate the economy for now, but not so great for getting too much further. It's a relatively low economy for both. Ooh. Roaches eat a spider mine hit, as you could tell. They're critically damaged across the board. A Swarm Host over the top. The Rock's being taken down as well. I think there was a Valkyrie in production. It's not out yet. Not sure how much that's going to help against the Locust. Maybe in the air in general. Another Nidus. On the 4th base. Scouting depot there. There are 8 siege tanks on the field. Now, siege tanks, a very double-edged sword against the Swarm Host for reasons mentioned. Very good at killing everything they hit and everything nearby. They hit incredibly hard and have less HP than their StarCraft 2 counterparts, which means they will kill each other just fine. And when those Locusts drop down in the right location, it could be absolutely devastating. The Wraiths plinking away, maybe able to get the Overseer up from Transfuse, and a Valkyrie hits himself in the face with a corrosive bow. Zerglings take out a Goliath that's scouted to the south. A wave of Locusts to the north, and Dark is swinging in. TY struggling to get his army together in a timely manner, and another spray and pray of corrosive fire. Dark up 60 supply. Actually, Dark is just maxed out. Does he have a hive done? Of course he does. Lurker Den on the way. And is there any detection? There's he can build science vessels. He has missile turrets. Does he have an academy to get comsats? There's no There's no comms. TY doesn't have an academy. Just as important, if not more so, in StarCraft 1 than it is in StarCraft 2 late game. The straight-up academy allows you to get comsats for scan. It seems like a huge missing piece here. Oh my god. The not-so-friendly fire of the siege tanks obliterating their fellow siege tank and the very temporary Locusts. But so far, it feels like the Swarm Hosts were a beautiful choice, and TY is really struggling to just keep his supply above water here. He was at 150, and he's been dipping ever since. Siege tanks are only 2 supplies, so it's a bit different than StarCraft 2, but TY has not been able to move out of his base since that initial push. The Queen, not able to get much done, but Spider mines. The Locusts actually all land. And between the Spider mines and the siege tanks, easily knock out the rest. Spire's on the way. Oh, no. Vipers. There are science vessels, but Vipers with Blinding Cloud or Parasitic Bomb? If the science vessels are that low in number, he only has just the one so far. How many starports? Just one starport. Okay, well. Yeah, that's... A spore crawler is coming up. The Queens, and yeah, forget about it. Queen's unleashing the knitting needles. Zerglings from the north side. Well, not too many of them gonna make it. I think the siege tank fire killed the spider mine before it could trigger on the lings. Another wave of locusts come in. The Zerglings into the mineral line. And the race. Not gonna be quick enough to clean them up. TY actually has more workers. And swarm hosts make the supply a bit misleading here. As over a third of the time, well, over half the time, they're not actually doing anything but growing the next wave of locusts. But as long as TY is pinned back at his base, that doesn't matter very much, as Dark is continuing to make progress. Sees the locusts coming in. Some of them, the Valkyrie actually doing quite a good job of dealing with it, but here come the parasitic bombs, forced to split the race, and enough locusts drop that the siege tanks annihilate each other. Oh no! It's a disaster for TY! Oh, well, he's so many more tanks. It looked really bad until I saw the 12 other tanks to the south. He's got 2-2 done, 3-3 out the way. Meanwhile, Dark is getting a Spire for upgrades, and he's making another Spire great again. Ultralisk Cavern in production. Burrow, is there anything he doesn't have? No Neural Parasite yet. He's got 1, 2, 3 upgrades right now. Well, +1 melee, +3 ranged attacker, +2 carapace. Comsat getting targeted. Wave of Locusts in the main. Throw a Nidus in. Why not? Cherry on top. Siege tanks taking bites out of the roaches at the third, but they will slip by and start killing SCVs. And TY still scramble. Oh my god. Race do nothing. We're gonna just leave it? That's nice of him. Alright, gets finished off. The SCV's pulled away. TY up to 160 supply, and the closer he gets to 200, the harder it's going to be to deal with for this swarm host-based army. Irradiate onto the Viper, but he can transfuse through it, I believe. Well, you gotta be careful not to stack him up. Parasitic Bomb should be enough to kill off the site. He irradiates the Locusts, which is kind of an odd one. But here comes the siege tank push down the center. Corrosive Bow on the front line. Just sprays through. He's dealing... Wait, how did the roaches... How are there roaches in the natural? Living up to their name. Meanwhile, more spray and pray. More Goliaths going down on the front line. TY, his income plummeting. Dark with money in the bank and he's maxed out. The swarm hosts are recharging. Down goes the Viper. The siege tank's trying to push forward, but the Queens still have plenty of energy. The Goliath's melting, and the siege tanks alone are not going to be enough. A wave of locusts is coming up the race, and the Valkyries are not going to take it out, and TY has been dismantled. He taps it out before it can get much closer. Dark just full control of the situation there. And overall, it didn't look particularly close. TY trying to build up the army, but Dark just going around him. And StarCraft 2, currently 3-0 in this series. If this was a best of 5 between the two games, well, we have a winner. But we got two players here. Both have been able to use their StarCraft 2 race to greater success. But now, we see if that trend continues. Because if it does, we got quite a series. As TY will be our StarCraft 2 Terran. In Dark, the Brood Wars are spawning pool. I think he was traumatized by that Reaper. As there is no... Like, without the Queens, what do you have? What are you going to make, a sunken colony? You're going to kill one of your own drones and spend... It's 75 for the creep colony. I believe it's 100 more for the sunken, but I'm not... You're going to kill one of your own drones and spend all those minerals just to tell the Reaper that you can't come in this general? I don't think so. So, the real difficulty is dealing with these efficient individual units that StarCraft 2 is known for, or definitely makes more use of. And even last game, with the Swarm Host finding a lot of damage, the Vipers. Honestly, I think TY just struggling in general against Dark's multitasking. The Swarm Host didn't do critical damage, but they kept him off balance enough that Dark could just slip through. And now 2 Reapers at a time. The Reaper's here. He even got speed earlier. He's still gonna lose a drone, which is disappointing. But a second Reaper gonna be caught even before speed's done and killed. And now the Zerglings in the main may get the second. Whoa! Well, he should have enough to finish it off. Gonna chase it down. Won't be able to heal in time. Oh my god. Dark only has 15 drones, but that's to be expected. Brood War Zerg survives on a much leaner economy than their StarCraft 2 counterparts. Has to cancel. He's just gonna get the tech lab. He's just gonna go for it. The Zerglings. Yeah, you can't repair it on this side. Missing the academy now. An academy, you wouldn't have to worry about that. Many times I feel like the tech labs and reactors are cool additions, add-ons if you will. But in this particular case, the academy and the tech setup of StarCraft 1 would serve TY much better. Now, of course, you can make the argument you should be able to build your add-ons on either side of the building, all that, but I think the interchangeability is very interesting on the StarCraft 2 add-ons as well, compared to Brood War, where a machine shop goes on the factory, control tower on the starport. You can't really switch them out. Comsat on the command center. Which I've learned several times so far. You gotta be very careful where you build your buildings, so that way you don't block the Comsat location. Because of all the buildings to fly around and move, command center is not one you got a lot of leeway on, so... Dark has discovered Hydralisks. And I imagine with that lair on the way, he's also going to be discovering Lurker aspect after it. Yeah, still a 2-1-1 from TY. If it ain't broke, there's no particular reason to fix it. Oh, there's still a Reaper. And the Zerglings giving it the runner. Okay. Lurkers on the way. 2 Hydras in production. Those Lurkers are incredible. Even more than their StarCraft 2 counterparts. Just ridiculously strong. Oh, he saw the Hydra den. He understands. Yeah, Lurkers have a lot of potential here. Liberators on the way. And TY also understands that even the Brood War Hydra, even if you have the Hydras, doesn't mean they're going to be enough to deal with the Liberators. As Brood War Hydra DPS is, sad. They usually have more than 1 or 2, but even for the cost, they pale in comparison to your StarCraft 2 counterparts. So we'll see how they fare against a Liberator count larger than 0. And again, TY sending out those Liberators. Bunkers at the front. Understanding that indeed Lurkers are an existential threat. More Lurkers on the way. The Liberators. There's no anti-air at home again. Oh no. And now there's almost no units. The Liberators will siege up. And, well, technically he can build Hydras. Well, he's losing the eggs now. There are Lurkers on the field. But Dark is already down a dozen drones. And the existence of Liberators has made a lot of people very upset and is widely regarded as a bad move. And right now, well, that might just be it. As even with Hydra Tech, yep, super dead. Bit of an unceremonious victory, but a victory nonetheless. As TY pinpoints the most significant advantage he has against the major weakness of Zerg in Brood War, which is just a severe lack of anti-air, which is why we clipped the wings of the Queen and forced it to the ground. But that means we're going to Game 5. Be careful what you wish for. Game 5 will be on, what in the... It's been 84 years! I don't know why this one feels more nostalgic than Fighting Spirit or Daybreak. I think this map was played after Daybreak, but... Whirlwind LE! Oh, wow. Yeah. A 4-player map. The 4-player map we played the most in StarCraft 2 was Frost, which was played throughout much of Legacy of the Void as well, and actually was one of our most balanced maps ever. Whirlwind was pretty close. Was around for quite a while. If you look at the minimap, by the way. Well, there you go. So our Brood War Terran. Now this time going for the 2 Rex up against Dark's. Well, it is a 4-player map, so unless you're willing to proxy the Rex in the middle of the map at the Watchtower. Oh yeah, remember when we had Watchtowers just sitting in the center of the map? Good times. Academy on the way. TY gonna be doing... The more things change, the more they stay the same. 3 barracks stim marine. A classic tactic. Still used 26 years later. We will see. So now we get to test whether StarCraft 2 Zerg is suited to deal with. I think these Marines are... Well, he's not actually getting anything out of the Academy yet. He's about to have enough for stim or range, but I think without stim makes it a little weird to go range. In Brood War, you have to wall off like a Protoss to this day, just unless you want to be lifting and lowering the barracks after every single unit. It's like, wow, maybe Protoss should have a door. How dare you? Sorry, I'm gatekeeping. Medics, kind of crazy. This is the first time we've seen medics in this entire series. I guess we saw medevacs, which... Does that count? Is the medevac just a medic who learned how to fly? Everyone has to wear a lot of hats nowadays. So, does Dark have any idea? Here comes... Really, TY? Are you kidding me right now? He pulls the boys! 60 HP, boys! Dark is playing this like a macro game. But the Marines are coming across. Thankfully for Dark, he will see it. Not so thankful, he's gonna be supply blocked by that Overlord die. So, and with any fire bats here and the boys in front, there is no splash damage, there's no banelings, there's no spawns. Stim is done. There's just the 1 medic, but here are the boys. The drones are gonna have to be pulled. They already are. That 1 fire bat is the most important unit in the game right now. Closely followed by the medic. TY stimming, but is he winning? And it looks like... Yeah, he got him. The early Marines with the medics behind. More Zerglings popping out. Dark is down to 3 drones. And TY breaks the streak. Okay, are we gonna play it out? He has literally 0 drones. He's building 4. Cancel those Cancel the Zerglings. He's literally has 2 drones now. Dark is going to be at Brood War drone levels. Trying to catch anything here, but there are 6 fire bats. I think 1 fire bat may be too many. He's gonna try, but that wasn't nearly all the SCVs. Oh, kind of crazy. That was only like half of them. Unfortunately, TY here demonstrating why 4-player maps have somewhat fallen out of style. As not scouting that until it's halfway across the map was a devastating and probably deadly lack of information. Dark, to his credit, literally fighting back from 0 drones. But TY, now with actual money on the line, he pulls out quite a cheese, but it's an effective one. Dark still looking for options, but there's more than enough economy. All he has to do is trickle out units here. A spine crawler is on the way. That's not going to be remotely enough. The Zerg, if he moved commands into the Zergling several times, maybe. But this game is more one-sided than a Mobius strip right now. And TY will be breaking the streak of StarCraft 2 victories with an old-school Brood War cheese. Sharp enough to cut through. So that means Terran comes out ahead. And Dark will be roasted this time around. So, with money on the line, definitely some rough edges, I think. With the mod and with the balance between the races. Still very impressed by the look and feel of it. I'm excited for the discussions to ensue between the StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2 units. But TY will take it 3-2. Thank you again to Kiwian for putting on this match and sending it along. Make sure to check out his channel for more content and stuff. Then you don't have to listen to my voice. It'll all be in hype Korean as well. And, of course, to SC Evo for putting it all together. Hopefully this made your day a little bit better. If you got the means of motivation, you also check out Patreon and YouTube membership, all that. But I'll see you next time. Good luck. Oh, by the way, you can find... So, for most... I've been playing SC Evo, StarCraft 1 versus StarCraft 2, on the second channel, like, every day over the last week or two, so... You can find it over there. That's also in the description, believe it or not. That rarely traveled place. Well, congratulations, TY. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.